All right, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Hey, everybody on Periscope. Howdy. We're going to start the show, and at the beginning of the show, there's a moment of silence to commemorate. I don't know what it commemorates, but there's a moment of silence at the beginning, and that's because there's that music playing in the background that welcomes you to the show. It's nice to see everybody here on Periscope. I'm also live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook people. That's the first time we've done the Facebook style. Facebook has live video now, so I thought, why not? And also, of course, this is tomorrow's radio show broadcast in the United States on radio stations across the country. And it's tomorrow's podcast on thebookerreport.com. So happy to see you here. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to all of you that put this on your calendars when I sent out the email or other information today. Today is a special broadcast, Ashley. It's going to be a good one.
Okay. All right, you ready?
I am so ready for this. I've never been more ready. So there's going to be a moment of silence here, everybody, while we play the music and get ready for the show to start. All right, here we go. And hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Tuesday, February 23, 2016. My name is Rob Booker. I'm here with Ashley. Hello, Ashley.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so excited for today's show. I'm so excited to announce that today we're not only live on Facebook, but also Periscope. We're also on radio stations across the country. We're on the podcast, on iTunes and SoundCloud and everywhere else.
We're digital.
We're digital. We're super digital. And I'm very happy to see you, your bright and shining earlobes here, dear listeners. Thank you for joining us. You can always reach the show by texting me, 304-281-8332. For you traders out there and investors, I have a brand new class that just went on sale. It's called How to Add to Your Winning Positions. So if you get into a trade like, I don't know, you get into gold or dust, the ETF, or oil, or you buy a currency, or you're buying a stock, or you're selling any of those things, and you want to know how to maximize the profit you get from a position that goes well, I've got 7 techniques and 2 trading strategies inside that class. You can get for more information at thebookerreport.com. Just go to the link that says class, and you'll get there. Now, that's just basically the promotion. That's how we pay the bills around here.
Yep.
All 3 of you listeners, not surprisingly, aren't paying the bills. We are so happy to see all of you, however, because today on the Booker Report, if you're the kind of person that wants more control over your investments or your life or more happiness or whatever else, you are in the right place, because for the next 60 minutes or really 57 minutes, I hope we're going to knock your socks off, because we want to talk about setting goals and achieving your goals and getting more out of your life. And here's a quote to start things off. This is from the book, The Big Leap, Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. And here's the quote from Gay Hendricks, PhD. Am I willing to increase the amount of time that my whole life goes well? This is such a great quote. How much love and abundance am I willing to allow? Now, the fact of the matter is, a lot of people have some kind of a ceiling on how much happiness they can have. Do you know somebody like this? That they're like Eeyore, they're like, I don't know, something good happened, now probably something bad's going to happen. And that is, unfortunately, the case, how many of us are. We have a ceiling on how comfortable we are with success. I talked about this the other day on the show. I found myself in a classroom in high school that I wasn't supposed to be in. It was an advanced placement class, and I was not an advanced placement human. I was whatever the opposite of advanced placement is, basically underachiever. And I found myself in this class, and I said, I'm going to fool everybody into thinking that I'm a smart person. And I surrounded myself with these smart people. I got engaged in these smart conversations, and I rose to the level of the people that were around me. And after doing that show, I got such a really good response from those of you that listen, all 3 of you, that I decided we would do an entire show and broadcast it live about setting and achieving goals and getting more out of life and more of what you want. And that quote really starts us off perfectly from Gay Hendricks. Once again, the book is The Big Leap: Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. Now, some of you want to make more money, and some of you want better relationships. You want to be healthier. You want to rise through the ranks of your job at Acme Corporation, and you want to be the assistant to the regional manager or whatever. Today's show is all about how you're going to get from where you are to where you want to be. Now, I've been trading and investing for a living since about 2001, and I've been running my own businesses online since 1998. And I've made and lost, and many of you know this already, I've made and lost like reasonably millions of dollars. I probably made, I don't know how much I've made, but it's like over $7 million in business and trading. And I've lost probably through expenses and stupid decisions, probably 6 of that. I've lost a bunch of it. Now, I do this show not to sell you anything. I don't manage money. I'm not here to sell you a financial product or have you come in for a free consultation or whatever. I'm not here for that. That's not, as you probably figure out, you can't figure out why I'm here. I actually am here because I've done a lot of the things in my life that people said I couldn't do, and I've done it gleefully and happily. And I've also done a lot of things in life that I didn't think I could do, and I've done those things fearfully. And I thought you might be in that same position. And so I want to help you today while listening to this show to get more of what you want out of life. Now, ostensibly, this is a business talk radio program on business talk radio stations. You're listening in San Francisco, you're listening in Dallas, you're listening in Houston, but I think all of your fingers have been cut off because none of you ever text me. You're listening in Palm Springs or Sacramento or Hawaii or Minnesota or New York or all these places around the world that we have these podcast listeners in Russia and Brazil and Scotland. You're all over the world. One thing that binds us all together, if you're listening to this program, isn't necessarily just the financial markets, but it's a general dissatisfaction with the status quo. You don't want to have what you've always had. You don't want to get what you've always gotten. Maybe there's something more that you want to get out of life. And I'm here because that's the same for me as well. I was doing a podcast, and now I want to do a radio show, and I want to reach more people and help more people because I'm kind of a nutball. I'm doing this show because I like people, and I like it when people get what they want out of life. I'm not here to sell you anything. I guess I'm here to sell you confidence in yourself, but that's free. You just got to reach out and take it. Now, I don't remember the year. It may have been 10 years ago. It may have been 11 years ago or 12 years ago. It may have even been 14 years ago, but it was the worst day of my life. And I forget the date because I don't even really want to think about it. But I was in the hospital, and it was the worst day of my life. And I'm not even sure I want to talk about it right now, and we can maybe get into some specifics another time. But it was easily the worst day of my life. And enough about me. Let's talk about the worst day of your life. Not that you want to talk about that. But have you ever been in a situation like that? Have you ever thought, this has got to be the worst damn day of my life? Or how am I going to get out of this one this time? Have you ever been in college under the weight of a huge amount of studies and you thought, I don't know how I'm going to get through this? We had one of our listeners write to us who's in college right now. I remember what it feels like to be in that situation. Or maybe you're in a relationship situation that's really bad. Or maybe you're in the middle of a really bad trade. Maybe you bought precious metals like 4 years ago because Glenn Beck said they were going to do really well, and now you're in trouble, and Glenn Beck's like offline or whatever. Have you ever held a trade that went against you so far you could feel your back up against the wall? Or a problem at work where you could feel your shoulders bouncing off the ropes while some jackhead person that you worked with was just punching you over and over again, and you were taking it because you didn't know what to do about it? And you thought, if I just fall down right now, then this round is over and this fight's over. Now, you don't feel like that right now, maybe. Maybe some of you are just doing great. And of course, we're happy to hear that. Maybe you're not there right now, but you're all, and we're all, I'm going to be there again. We've all been there before. And we have a choice when that kind of a situation happens. Getting up is a choice. Putting your hands up to block the punches is a choice. And the truth is, once again, if you're not in this situation now, you can remember a time that you were. And if you're not in this situation now, sure as heck, we're going to be in this situation in the future. There's no way to prevent bad stuff from happening. The shiz goes down, people. You know it and I know it. Some of the worst stuff that's ever happened to me happened like the day after, I thought it was the best time of my life. And I remember sitting in the hospital thinking, yesterday, my whole outlook on life was totally different. And I can't believe I'm here right now. I actually feel like I'm living in a dream or some kind of nightmare. And what am I going to do now? So I want to give you a 4 or 5 or 6-step process on what you do in that situation. When your back is against the wall, or if your back isn't against the wall right now, then Godspeed, because you can apply this stuff whether or not your back is against the wall. You can think about how you're going to achieve the things in life you want to achieve, and maybe you could do it right now from a position of strength if things are going well. Number 1, put your hands up. When your back is against the wall, you don't stop and set a goal. You don't stop and like, okay, I'm going to stop here and get up my day planner and I'm going to set a goal. Oh, ba-doo. Your back's against the wall. You're getting punched. You're bleeding. You don't stop and set a goal. You can't barely breathe. You don't make a list of the 10 steps towards your life's dream. You don't get on, I don't know, medium.com and look up a blog post that was really famous on the 12 things that successful people do. You don't got time for that stuff. You know what you do in this situation? The best thing you could do in this situation, and if you're not in this situation right now, the best thing that you can do is you can protect yourself. You put your hands up. This means that you get the toxic people out of your life. And if you're not in a position of weakness right now, it's even a better time to do it. This means that you aren't afraid to stand up for yourself. I often say some of the traders that make the most amount of money are the traders and people that aren't afraid to send their food back. And I think that's a funny way to think about it, but it's absolutely true. This means that you find the strength to ask for help. Now your hands are up, now you've stopped the bleeding, and we can move on to the next steps in this entire process. So when we come back, I've got at least 3 or 4 more steps that we're going to go through to getting what you want. I can't wait to share them with you. My name is Rob Booker. You're listening to the Booker Report. We're live on periscope.tv/Rob Booker, and we'll be right back after these important messages. Hey friends out there, oh excellent, someone is already inside that new class and having a ton of fun. Thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, Fitbit reported earnings, everybody. Ooh, that was not pretty. Fitbit reported earnings, they were better than expected, but their outlook for this year was bad.
Hey, Steve, Doreen's having a problem. Be right back.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm sure that we could have probably seen that coming to a certain degree, but we didn't see that coming. Oh my gosh, so Fitbit's gonna drop, and I am long Fitbit right now, and that's not gonna go up today. That's gonna go down for certain. And I'm just looking now. Yeah, trading after hours, it's down like 13%. Yeah, that's not what you want to see. But you know, we trade small, right? We trade small, it's no big deal. And what do you wait for? I didn't understand, says Banalume. What did I wait for? I don't know what that question means. So if you want to rephrase your question in the form of a question, I would be happy to phrase my answer in the form of an answer. See you all here. Thanks for joining us. And we got a few of my friends on Facebook here as well, which you're probably saying, what the crud is going on? I bet you're wondering, and we'll tell you. I was closing the door there. I yell a lot around here, so even in a radio station where the rooms are soundproof, it is it's actually the case that sometimes I yell so loud people get upset. So Facebook's internet connection was like, what is going on with your internet connection?
You got angry?
It did. Looks like the wireless internet around these parts are not so great. So it tried to reconnect, but it's not on.
Huh.
Okay. So maybe like the wireless internet reset or something? You don't know.
Probably. Sorry.
Okay, here we go.
You ready?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Okay.
And welcome back, friends. Happy to be with you today. I'm Rob Booker. This is the Booker Report. It's Tuesday, February 23, 2016. We're talking about goals, how to set and achieve big goals in your life. I'm so happy that you're here. In the last segment, we talked about one of the first steps in setting and achieving your goals is surprisingly to protect yourself. If you think about some of the times in your life when you haven't gotten what you wanted, there is absolute truth to the people don't get what they want, because actually there are people and obstacles in their way. And one of the obstacles in their way can be toxic people or all kinds of other stuff. We're going to get to that in a minute, but you might be in a bad investment and have to get out. You might need to reach out to a friend to protect yourself, a mentor, someone who can help you right now. When I was in the hospital all those years ago, I put my hands up. I protected myself. When I had that bad day I was talking about just a few minutes ago, I put my hands up. I protected myself. Knowing that I needed as much strength in my life as I could get at that minute, I ended a toxic relationship, a family relationship that I'd been sort of needing to end for a long time. And I did it. And it was really difficult, but I did it, and it makes a difference. One of the things we're going to talk about later is positivity. And it's really hard to be a positive person all the time if you're surrounded by toxic people. You can't do it. But you're part of the answer here too, and we'll talk about that in just a second. All right, number 2, the second element of accomplishing and getting more out of life and getting what you want out of life is to stop setting goals. And I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous. This is a whole broadcast about setting goals. And if you're joining us now, my name is Rob Booker. This is the Booker Report. We're on a Business Talk Radio podcast and radio station, and we're talking about setting goals and achieving them. And it might come as a surprise that one of the first things that you need to do is to stop setting goals. Now, a goal is something that you wish you had, that you don't have, and that you need to work for. Now, instead of setting a goal, what I would wish that you would do is make a decision. You know what this means? It means that a decision is something that you're going to do, whereas a goal is something that you might do. A decision is a commitment to be a different person or have something different in your life at a time and place in the future. A decision is your word, and your word is your bond. So instead of setting a goal to make $100,000, which is an interesting goal, I'm not going to say it's a terrible goal, but instead of setting a goal to make $100,000, make a decision to make $100,000. It's a decision. Now that's a big difference. If someone says, oh, you say, oh, could you come in early to work tomorrow? And they say, yeah, I'll set a goal. I'm going to set a goal. You're like, wow, most people don't achieve their goals. That doesn't sound like a firm commitment. Like the universe, when you set a goal, is like, well, I guess maybe they're going to do it or maybe they're not. We don't really know. When someone says, yeah, I'll be here tomorrow, I'll make a commitment. You say, is this a commitment? Can I count on you to come in tomorrow early or on time? And they say, yeah, you can count on me. That's a commitment. That's a decision. That's a big difference between a decision and a goal in this case. Of course, it's all semantics, and I know I'm using language that could be all over the place, but that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making a decision, making a commitment. You don't set a goal to you don't set a goal, for example, to if you pick up a piece of your pancake with your fork, you don't set a goal to put it in your mouth. It gets there automatically. And there's something really powerful about doing things automatically as opposed to setting goals for stuff. And if you can breathe and eat and do all kinds of things unconsciously, you'd be shocked at the things you can do when you make an unconscious, subconscious, and conscious decision to achieve something, because it's a decision and a commitment and not a goal, which is like this new agey kind of thing where you all go to an arena and somebody stands up and everybody's crying and laughing and cheering together and walking on hot coals. And then you leave and you're like, that was amazing. Now I'm going to go back to being the slob that I used to be. That's really different than just saying, I don't need a conference. I don't need a radio show. I don't need a mentor. I don't need to spend any money. I just need to make a decision. Have you ever met somebody in your life and you're like, why don't you just make a decision to stop whatever or to start whatever? And they're like, okay, I'm going to set a goal. And you're like, oh, well, there it goes. There it goes. It's just another goal. Now, I'm not, I don't want to trash goals all episode long, but you get my drift. There's a big difference between making a commitment that someone can depend on you about and just setting a goal, which is maybe something that you do in the heat of the moment when you're just at a peak state of energy. You want to make a decision that you're going to find your next investments easily. You want to make a decision that you're going to make that amount of money that you want. You're going to look at that picture of that house in Hawaii that you want, and instead of setting a goal to live in that house, you're going to make a decision that in 9 years you're going to move into that house. Whether it is that you're going to have to move in with the people that are already there and they don't know you're coming, or you're going to buy the house. One or the other, you're getting the house. Does that make sense? Like, you're going to move into that house, and they better get ready, and the universe better get ready, and your family better get ready, because that's what's going to happen. That's just the way it is. You'll find that your attitude about life and accomplishing things is much different when you make a decision, because you're setting in motion an energy that I actually can't really explain. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it the great whatever, or the spaghetti monster in the sky, it doesn't matter. It's just, when you make a decision, you spring an energy out of its cage. And that energy is out of its prison, and it's released, and it's put upon you because you made a decision. And you write it down, and you put it somewhere that you can see every day, and you don't show it to anyone. Well, hold the phone. And if we had the sound of a screeching record, we would do that sound right now. Like, we'd go, what? You don't show it to anyone? I thought that part of setting and achieving goals was announcing to the whole world that I was going to stop smoking, or I'm going to stop doing crack, or I'm going to start whatever, or I'm going to go to the Olympics, or I'm going to make $1 billion, or whatever. You don't want to use your goals as a form of a selfie. You know, you ever follow somebody on Instagram? Okay, maybe it's me. And there's like 12 bajillion pictures of themselves on Instagram, and it's all selfies. Okay, that's someone who wants to show you what they're all about. That's you could call it vanity. Also, if it's a beautiful person, that's fine. Nobody minds. But there's something different about keeping a goal for yourself, even the really big ones, instead of telling everybody. And you might be saying, well, part of the fun of setting a goal, or part of what keeps me going, is telling everyone. Okay, listen, I'm not going to get into an argument here with you, especially because we can't hear your voice right now. But I reject the assumption, and I reject the implication that you need to share your big goals with everyone. In fact, I think some of your big goals have a tendency to turn people off around you. They don't really want to help you. It makes you seem a little bit like, I don't know, you set a really giant goal. I'm going to write a best-selling novel. And that's your goal, and you set that as your goal. It sounds a little weird to like announce it to everyone even though you haven't done it. And what I'm trying to say here is, no one but you needs to care about this big goal in your life. It's kind of depressing. Of course you can share it with your best friend, or you can text it to me, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help you out. That's good. You can count on that. Now, all kinds of things happen to decisive people who write their goals down, put them somewhere that people can see them, and don't talk to other people about them incessantly. And these things happen to those people that are decisive as opposed to being aspirational. Now, how many minutes do we have before the break here, Ashley?
Just about one.
Okay, we got a minute before the break. So, about 15 years ago, when I was sitting in the car with Terry Larson, and Terry Larson was my friend who'd made a bunch of money, Terry said, "Rob, making money is easy." And I decided that was going to be my outlook on life. I didn't walk around telling people, making money is going to be easy for me. That sounds weird, right? That sounds offensive. I didn't walk around telling people that making money was going to be easy for me and watch me make a bunch of money. And I know some of my friends have Instagram accounts where they brag about the cars they drive or the stuff they have. And I mean, that's one way to live your life. But Terry said, just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself and be decisive about it, but be quietly confident in the reality of your dreams. And you have a better chance of getting them if that's the case. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the difference between dreamers, aspirers, and decisive people, and it's an important conversation. So we'll be right back after these messages.
Okay.
All right, so I was on Facebook for a while, but it basically the interweb connection here in the radio station kind of failed. But I'm going to try it again. We're going to try to get back on and setting goals part 2. And I'm going to press this button here, and then I'm going to see if it can connect. And we're going to go live. And we're back again on Facebook for our friends that lost us a few minutes ago. That was kind of weird. And of course, we're still here on Periscope. All right, so I hope you're having a good time, everybody. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
I still have not seen Deadpool.
How have you not seen Deadpool?
I really want to see it. I heard that Ryan Reynolds did a Q&A where he actually did a Q&A about why he should host Saturday Night Live, but he did it in the voice and character of Deadpool.
He did it, but he was also mocking Kanye West.
Which is not hard to do.
No, it's not, but it's just, it's epic. You have to watch that.
Oh,
if
that's
you
really
haven't
good.
already.
That's really good. Hi, anybody on Facebook. Sorry we lost you a minute ago. And hello again, all of our friends on Periscope. So if you're on Periscope, you said, is this a radio show? Yes, it's a radio show on in the United States of America on business talk radio stations around the country. It's also a podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. And it's also a website, thebookerreport.com. And it's also my dream come true. All right, you ready to get back on this?
I am.
Let's get back on this. You ready, everybody? Nobody's on Facebook because I dropped off. All right, here we go.
Here we go, party people.
And we're back, friends. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Rob Booker. Happy Tuesday to everyone. If you're driving along in your car, thanks for listening. The Booker Report is a live radio show in cities around the country. You can find stations in your area if you go to thebookerreport.com/listen. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know that you listen to the show. We're happy to have you here. You can also listen on the web, on iTunes, The Booker Report, or SoundCloud, The Booker Report. And you can find all kinds of ways to listen to the show or watch the show at thebookerreport.com. Today's show is all about setting goals, and it's a subject near and dear to my heart. In the first part of today's program, we talked about how decisive people achieve more. And the first thing that you need to do in your life when you really want to make a jump forward in accomplishing more of what you want is to start protecting yourself. As opposed to writing down a list of goals or things you want, the first thing that you want to do is actually start protecting yourself. And a lot of us are just basically exposed to all kinds of bad stuff from people who don't mean us well. And that's one of the first things to do. Now, step 3 in setting and achieving goals that are powerful and awesome is to stop aspiring. And this is kind of offensive, and so I want to be careful, and I want to be positive, and I want to be in a good mood today. Someone says they love our show. Well, thank you. That was a viewer on Periscope. I love you too. Thanks for listening. Okay, stop aspiring. Aspirational people are dreamers. Now, I'm a dreamer. Let me say, I'm a daydreamer. I'm a night dreamer. I'm dreaming right now. I'm thinking of a house in Hawaii. I can't get my mind off of it because I said it just a few minutes ago. But aspirational people tell everyone they're going to make $1 million. They tell everyone they're going to write a book. And do you know what they achieve? Well, they achieve in getting a lot of people to think that they're vain windbags. And sometimes they even look kind of foolish. When you declare to the world that you're going to do something, you put yourself on the hook for it, and you start to get nervous. When you tell yourself that you're going to do something, you either do it for yourself or you don't do it at all. If you start making your goals more private, maybe sharing them with just a few people that you trust, you'll find out how well you keep your word to yourself. Aspirations are dreams about getting to someplace new, being happy when you're someplace that you're not right now. Someplace that you want to be, but you're not there now. Someplace not here, not now, but later, in the future, at some other point in time. You can be happy if, only if, in a better place. Decisions, on the other hand, come from, no surprise, decisive people. A decisive person isn't dreaming about what they will be or where they will be in the future. They know they have every right to have exactly what they want. And they know they have everything right now in their possession to have it. And they walk taller on day one that they make the decision. They're more confident on day one. They look like they might have already achieved what they set out to do on day one. When you start keeping your word, you have more confidence. When you have more confidence, you start getting more of what you want, even if you're not trying. Have some of you been successful at something that you wanted to do and you weren't really even trying to do it? Have you noticed sometimes when you're having a good day, you get something for free or something goes your way? I mean, it's not a surprise, right? I mean, they say the squeaky wheel always gets the grease, but I don't know. I hate being the squeaky wheel. I like getting stuff without even trying. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Now, the bad thing here is that I said that dreamers and aspirers and whatever else, that's kind of negative, right?
Kind of.
That's kind of negative. I mean, nobody wants to hear that. And I mean, I could spend the rest of my life just dreaming about shiz. Like, I like dreaming about stuff. I like dreaming about the home on the lake. I like that. I like all that stuff. I like dreaming about like life and stuff that I want, and it's really fun. But on the other hand, you know, it's not necessarily the way we get what we want. And I found myself at times dreaming of a better place or a better time or a better thing, and it doesn't necessarily do as much good as just getting to work, which we'll talk about in the next segment. Now, there's a place for having a clear vision. I like spending once a month or twice a month in a organized moment where I actually just basically dream big. I just dream about whatever, I just like dream about having whatever I want. And that's amazing, and it's a ton of fun. But that's the time I let that happen like once a month. I'll do that. And that gives me it gives me a list of things that I might really want in life. And I think that's totally effective. And I think it's totally appropriate, of course. Well, you could do it any way you want, of course. Nobody's going to stop you from doing what you want. Now, I'd love to hear from you about your goals. When we come back in just a minute, we're going to talk about the last two steps in achieving your goals or getting what you want. But I'd like to hear from you. Once again, everybody's asking, like, where can you listen to the show or the recordings or whatever? The recordings of the show are at thebookerreport.com/listen. You can get more information about our sponsors at thebookerreport.com. And once again, if you're, let's just take a moment here and pay the bills just for a second. If you are of a retirement age and you want more information about something you can do with your investments, go to thebookerreport.com/invest, and we'll hook you up with a financial advisor as well. And we'll be right back after these words. Hi, everybody on Periscope. So nice to see you here. Is it Monday?
Yeah.
I'm in like a time-space continuum vortex because I don't really know what day it is because we record tomorrow's show today.
Right.
How are you out there in Periscope land? Let's just pick up the phone here and hi. So where's everybody from today? Sean says, hey, Rob. It's Tuesday here, says Victoria. In Sydney, it is Tuesday there. Or in Melbourne. I can't remember where you're from, sorry. New York City. Nice to see you. Wisconsin. Nice. New Jersey. Turkey. Nice. Southern Cal. Cash Flow Life. Nice to see you here. Boca Raton, Spain. Sydney. I got it right. Texas. The UK. And just tons of this. Just went to see Deadpool near Amsterdam.
Maximum effort.
Maximum effort. Nice job, everybody. Oh, I'm so happy to see you all here on Periscope. This is a lot of fun. Okay, that's maybe a better way to do this, but I got to move this back. All right, there we go. Okay.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I am if you are.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
And we're back. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. My name is Rob Booker. You're listening to The Booker Report. Today's show is all about setting and achieving goals, whether they're financial or relationship-oriented, or you want to commit a giant crime. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. So far today, we've talked about not being a dreamer, but being someone who's a decider and a decisive individual. We've talked about protecting yourself from blah, 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 blah. That was earlier on. I can't remember anything that I say after I say it. And then the second one, I don't remember that either. Let's get on to number 4 on the list of things you need to do if you want to set and achieve big goals in your life. Number 4, get that eye of the tiger. Okay, so I'm a huge Rocky Balboa fan. I loved the movie Creed. I liked the movie Rocky Balboa where he yelled at his son in the middle of the street and outside that Italian restaurant. I like all the movies. I mean, maybe I didn't see one of the movies and that was maybe the worst one. It's whatever one you thought was the worst. And Rocky 1 was my favorite movie of all time. But there, of course, was the one where he had the eye of the tiger. And the eye of the tiger is that sort of like where you furrow your eyebrow and you just get down to business and people know you mean business. It's like crunch time when, you know, you're 10 points behind and there's 1 minute left on the clock and you have to score a touchback or whatever. That's what this is all about, the eye of the tiger. You got to be hungry for getting whatever it is that you want. You got to want it so bad that you're willing to let other things go. Now, we're not talking today about small goals. Like, we're not talking about, I hope I get up on time tomorrow. We're not talking about goals that are really just to-do items on your list of things that you want to get done tomorrow. Let's talk about investments. We didn't talk a lot so far on today's program about investments, but let's have a conversation about investments. Maybe you want to be a great investor. That's completely reasonable. I love the markets. I love them. Even today, when I'm long Fitbit and Fitbit is down, I'm happy to be in this mess we call the markets. I like what we do. I like investing. I like the financial markets. It's not great every day, but I don't set goals in the financial market, long-term goals anyway. I make decisions about what I want from the financial markets. I make a decision about how much I want. And one of the examples of this is we have a little club amongst trading friends of mine. We call it the 40% Club. And the 40% Club is a group of people who have decided that they're going to make 40% this year, a 40% return on their investments. And that comes out to be a little bit less than 1% per week. I mean, it's not that bad when you narrow it down. So in the big picture, it sounds like a big deal because you're going to beat every hedge fund on the planet. But in the near term, it's not such a big deal. And a goal is really, in my case, it's a decision to do something really big and substantial that you can divide up into smaller chunks. The problem with this is that when you set a big goal, like I'm going to make 40% this year or whatever, you can't be the best at that and the best at every other single thing in your life at the same time. I found that I can't be the best father in the world at the same time that I'm the best radio show person in the world. Because guess where I am not right now? Guess where I'm not right now? I'm not with my kids and they just got out of school. Now, I want to be with my kids, and I love my kids, and maybe someday I'll look back on this and say, what the hell was I doing a radio show for when I could have been with my kids? But the fact of the matter is, this is what I do for a career, and it's the choice that I've made. Now, I have a friend on Facebook who's constantly, I used to have a friend, I deleted him, but I had a friend, and he was constantly traveling all over the world, and he would post these things like, I miss my family, I miss my kids, I miss my whatever. Finally on Facebook, one day I wrote on Facebook, I said, Jesus, dude, just stop saying it and just go home. Stop telling people, like, aspirational, I wish I was or wish whatever. I find out later that this individual had complete control over their travel schedule. They're one of those people that said they didn't, right? I don't have control over my life. Super successful. And all they ever did was wanted you to know how much they missed their family, but you couldn't find one picture of them with their family. You can't have all the things that you decide you want, but it doesn't mean that you can't have some of the really big things that you do want. So you're not going to be the best parent in the world and the best trader in the world, but that's okay. Like, listen, life's about making decisions. Maybe you don't want to be the best at one of those two things. You just want to be your best, maybe not the best there ever was. Can you fulfill your entire potential for every aspect of your life at the same time? No, you can't. But you can ruthlessly prioritize your life. You'll say no to more stuff that's on the to-do list. You'll say no when someone asks you for help and you don't really have the time, and you won't regret that you did it either. You'll say, okay, there's this small list of things that are the priorities in my life. My radio show, my family, and my trading. That's what it is. And I'm going to have to say no to a lot of other things. I'm not inside my chat room as much as I'd like to be with my subscribers. I'm not on Twitter as much as some people might think is cool. I mean, whatever, right? You make a decision. You say no sometimes. Let's say you set a goal. Let's use a real example here. Let's say you set a goal to make $100,000 this year from the markets. Okay, Ashley? You set a goal to make $100,000. Now, Ashley might say, I don't know crud about the financial markets.
I don't.
Okay, so who cares, right? Nobody asked you what you did know. Like Eye of the Tiger. We're on like the Eye of the Tiger section here. Nobody cares about what you did or didn't do or weren't able to do in the past. You can, however, give up things in your life that are taking up emotional space that would prevent you from putting in the time necessary to get what you want. So you ask yourself the question, when you're setting goals and you're setting big goals, you might ask yourself the question, like, what are things in my life that are taking up a bunch of emotional space? Like this individual that's dragging me down, or this whatever. You might just pick some things in your life that are dragging you down or taking up emotional space. And I'm not talking about just freeing up your time. I'm talking about freeing up your mind and your heart. I'm telling you the truth that if you want to make room for something big, you've got to clear some space. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of us are just looking for a reason to clear out that space, and that's not such a bad thing. And you don't want to be afraid to do it. When you start clearing out space in your life, that emotional baggage goes away. You feel alive and you feel free. My friend Lindsay's going to write a book. And Lindsay sat down with me the other day and she said, I'm going to write a book. What do you suggest that I do? And I said, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to just say no to everybody about everything. You're just going to basically become a hermit. You're going to become Harper Lee or J.D. Salinger. Not because it was them. I mean, there's plenty of other authors that don't hole themselves up in their house. But Stephen King, J.D. Salinger, Harper Lee, these aren't people that are out there, running around run around at conferences. They say no to a ton of stuff. Harper Lee didn't come out of her house forever. Like, she basically wrote letters to Burke Breathed, the guy that used to do Bloom County, the cartoon, and then she stayed at home and did who knows what. So I said, Lindsay, the first thing you want to do is you want to just stay inside and do a lot of writing. And your social calendar is going to go in the toilet. But you know what? You made a decision, and she was all over it. And so she's going to get what she wants. When we come back, I'm going to talk about filling your life with positivity and the final steps. We'll be back in just a minute, right after these words. And my good friend, Jerry's online on Facebook, and my good friend Greg is here. Ciao, Greg. So I'm going to tell you a story. So back in the day, long time ago, right? So give me a break here. Back in the day, I was a LDS missionary, and I was scheduled to go to Rome, Italy on my mission. All right? So I'm just thrilled to go to Italy on my mission. I'm so excited I can't even stand it. And so we're here, we're in the Missionary Training Center in Provo, Utah, right? And in the Missionary Training Center in Provo, Utah is one of my friends, Greg Ellis, who's here on Facebook right now. And so Greg can play the piano, but Greg's a self-taught piano player. So Greg's not reading music or whatever else. Greg's a self-taught piano player. And so the church has all these really beautiful hymns and songs, blah, blah, blah. But Greg doesn't know how to play those normally. Greg only knows how to play those jazzy. So Greg, there's this meeting of Greg, it was 3,000, it was 3,000 people, and this is 1991. And there's a meeting of 3,000 missionaries in this giant room. And because Greg's a player, Greg's the man. I have looked up to Greg for this ever since it happened a bajillion years ago. Greg gets on there and he gets up to the front of the room of 3,000 people because they asked for a volunteer to play the piano. And he plays a jazzy version of this super solemn and spiritual song. And the whole room just erupted into laughter and confusion. That was the best ever. That was totally awesome, Greg. That was dang cool. David Watson's here. Maybe we'll get the weather report. Richard's here. I'm still sorry I missed Richard's wedding. I love you, man. I can't wait to come to New York and go to the diner with you again. So nice to see you. And hi, Natalie. It's nice to see you, too. And welcome, everybody, on Periscope. We've only got one segment left, and we have a lot of stuff to get to today. And I'm so happy to see you here. One of the questions was how to be a decisive person. That's a great question, how to be a decisive person. What an excellent question. Any other questions that came from today's show? Yeah, I was kind of going through a divorce when Richard was getting married, so I was yeah. So it didn't work, but I still feel bad about it because Richard's amazing. And so, any other questions come in? So how to be a decisive person? Where do you start? How do you find a good goal? These are all good questions. I think I have two things left here, points 5 and 6, but I'm never going to finish those today. So I think we'll continue.
Might as well go to the questions.
Yeah, we'll get to the questions when we come back. How's that sound, everybody? All right, here we go.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Rob Booker. You're listening to the Booker Report. It's Tuesday, February 23, 2016. I'm so happy to be with you today. We did a whole show on setting and achieving big goals in your life, and it's been a great show so far, but we're running out of time. So tomorrow, when we come back, we're going to talk about filling your life with positivity and the big secret behind all the people that get what they want out of life. And in the last few moments of the show here, I want to answer a few questions that came in. The first one came in on Instagram, and it was, Rob, I hate your show.
That was interesting when you said that to
and I
me.
sent that. Yeah, okay, so I sent that to Ashley, and I was like, I don't care if you hate the show. Goodbye. Have a nice day. The second thing came in was, what have you achieved? I think they wanted to say, what have you achieved? But what have you achieved? I've achieved a baked potato. I've achieved mashed potatoes before, but I don't really like chives, so I try to be an underachiever. Okay. What I've achieved in life doesn't matter, but I'm not here to brag about anything, even though it's amazing and it's huge. Like, the list is giant. All right. The other question that came in that I really liked, and I'm sorry I made fun of you for spelling achieve wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now we have 2 listeners. Okay.
Nice.
One person wrote and said, how do I become more decisive? And I thought that is a brilliant question. Because some of this comes down to, what are you going to do tomorrow? And a lot of people, you're like on the floor, right? You're like, I can't get up off the floor. And when you're talking about becoming a more decisive person, what you're really saying is, in the past, I've been the kind of person that made a decision and that didn't follow through. And I didn't have the motivation, or the energy dissipated after a while. And so whatever it was that I was really excited about getting, it dropped off. Now, there's 2 possibilities in a case where you say you're not a decisive person. One possibility is there's no secret, and you need to get your butt off the floor. You need to start now, and there is no secret. 50 years ago, nobody talked about motivating you or filling you with energy. They just said, go to work. And in World War II, all those wonderful men and women who fought for us in World War II, they didn't set a goal to hold the line or be decisive. They were under fire, and there's a possibility that your back isn't far enough against the wall if you don't feel decisive. There's a possibility. The second thing is that you're not setting goals that are big enough. Okay, so someone says, if you're going to give life advice, I want to know what you've achieved. The advice is either good or it isn't. It probably isn't very good. So you probably shouldn't do anything that I say on this show. I mean, number one. And I talked about it at the beginning of the show. Don't be late. Wow, what's wrong with you? Don't be late to this show. Anyway, I'll follow up on that question tomorrow. It's a valid question. What have I achieved? I understand the question, and I accept that question. We'll be back tomorrow talking about goals again. For now, thank you so much for being here today and on Periscope and Facebook. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. All right, so what have I achieved? So for the gentleman or gentle lady that asked that question, so I've written 7 books, 5 in Japan and 2 in the United States, 1 published by a major publisher. I've spoken all over the world to tens of thousands of traders all over the world. I've made and lost millions of dollars in the financial markets. I've made more than I've lost, but it's been, millions and millions of dollars. I've made and lost millions of dollars in online business. Someone says, don't be rude. I'll be as rude as I want to be. Shut up. And then,
Nice.
what is wrong with you? I've accomplished a bunch of stuff that I set out to do. I'm not perfect. I mean, that's such a weird question, though. I mean, like, when someone says it's important to be honest, that's either true or it isn't, whether or not they've achieved anything. I've achieved a bunch of stuff that I want to achieve, but the fact that maybe I haven't achieved everything that I wanted to achieve. Maybe I haven't done the really big thing that I want to do yet. But I think, if you stop for a minute and you just consider what you want rather than what I've done, and you just think, okay, did anything that was said today fit in at all? That, I think, is totally worth it. I think that's where you want to go with this. But I still have big things that I want to achieve. I'm not here to brag about it or whatever, and I'm not here to say that even anything that I've achieved is a big deal. I'm not big deal. Someone said, well, you've achieved me watching a half hour.
Yeah.
So your question is valid. And I think I've answered it now. And I don't mean to be rude, but lay off for a minute about the rude part. I think everybody here knows me. I don't mean to be rude.
He's not rude.
I mean, I love you all. Okay, Richard says something. Richard says, Natalie says, laughing my butt off, the rude guy. Now that show's over, here's my question. If you had to go back and reteach trading, what would you emphasize to your students? That is a really brilliant bonus. If I had to go back in time, what would I do differently at the beginning of my trading career? And there's no question that two things come to mind. One thing, I would reduce the size of my trades or increase the size of my trades and cut them off a lot faster. And the second thing I would do is I would use long-term levels of support and resistance, and I would ignore everything else. I mean, now I'm just so far over my head and all kinds of other stuff that that's probably not a possibility. Number 3, I would add to my winning trades when they went well. Definitely, I would do that. 4, I wouldn't read any trading books. No trading books. I'd read philosophy and fiction and poetry. Number 5, I would start a chat room with traders that I trusted a lot sooner, like I've done. Yeah, those are ones. Someone says, what's your advice to run a successful business online? And I have a whole podcast called Ideas for Online Business. I think there's like 70 episodes of that, and that's all of my philosophy about running online business inside of a podcast. And I'm so sorry that I was rude. I didn't really mean to be rude. I feel guilty about it later, but I like getting mad at people.
You weren't rude, Rob.
Okay, it's nice to see everybody. If you don't like it, don't watch. All right, thanks everybody for being here. I so appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.